morning. Our laboratory activity for today is on ITN, CCNAv7 packet tracer activity entitled Configure Initial Switch Settings. This activity has the following objectives. We'll verify the default switch configuration. Yes, we'll be working on switches now. Our last activity, yung lab 1 natin, only allowed us to be familiar with the CLI. So this time, we'll have switch configuration, how to do this basic switch configuration, how to configure message of the day banner, how do we save configurations to our NVRAM, and we'll also configure not just one but 2 switches. Okay, so this would be our objective for this activity. So we will perform a basic switch configuration task. We'll also secure access to the command line interface and the console ports using an encrypted and plain text passwords. So we'll also have message banners. So we'll be adding them on our switch. Okay. So we'll be using the Catalyst 2960 switch, or this one, the first available basic switch on our packet tracer. So yan yung gagamitin natin. And we'll also be using PCs. Okay, so actually the topology is not on the manual, but we will be using 2 switches and 2 PCs po. So let me wire that on our Cisco packet tracer now. So we'll go to the network devices. Under the network devices, so we'll just choose switches. Okay, ito, the 2960 switch. So, and then we'll also have to use 2 end devices, which are PCs. Okay, so dalawang PC. Right, so why do we need 2 PCs? Because we can configure, okay, the switches either through the use of the PC or through its terminal. Okay, so how do we connect them now? So we are not in the module on physical layer yet kasi doon will be introduced of the different cables. Okay, but for now, to connect a PC to a switch, okay, so the cable we are using or the connector we are using is a straight through cable. Okay, so ito po, copper straight through is the one with a solid black line. So yan yung copper straight. So selecting it and pressing on my PC, we actually just have one choice for the fast Ethernet, okay, connector. Yan yung UTP cable connector natin, or what we call as the RJ45. So we select fast Ethernet and connect to our switch. Okay, so sa switch natin, we have several available interfaces. So where do we connect it? Since it's not a console cable, it's an Ethernet cable. So we select fast Ethernet 01. Okay, so dyan natin siya i-connect. Okay, so we'll do the same for PC2. Okay, so let's have another straight through cable on PC2 on its fast Ethernet interface connecting to fast Ethernet 01. Okay, so yan po yung ating dalawang switch. Now, how do we connect the 2 naman? So we want to connect the 2 switches. Okay, this time we'll be using a copper cable, okay, with the label copper crossover. Yan, you'll see at the bottom of the screen yung description of this dashed black line, okay, black connector. So we'll select that black connector and choose the next available interface. So we can choose actually the fast Ethernet interfaces, okay, any of the fast Ethernet interfaces. Okay. So yan po yung dalawa natin na switch. At the moment, since nakita nyo, naka-orange pa lang siya, so it's because it's still initializing. Okay, nag-initialize pa siya. So napansin nyo to, green na sila on both ends. Okay, so green na sila pareho. Okay. So that's what we need to connect. Okay, for laboratory activity 1. So let me just fast forward. Fast forward ko pa. So just like an actual switch po. So just like an actual switch, when we switch on our Cisco Catalyst 2960 switch in the laboratory, it would take some time to initialize. So ganun din po when we are using our packet tracer. Previously, it's just an orange circle status, but now we already have a green status, so which means our connection is good. Okay, so yan po. We're done with our physical topology. So we call that physical topology or physical connectivity. Okay, so now we go to the instructions. We start first with part 1, and as we did with laboratory number 1, we need to follow the instruction and answer whichever information is needed. Okay, so step 1, we can access all switch commands from privileged exec mode. However, because of the many privileged commands configure operating parameters, privileged access should be password protected to prevent unauthorized use. So we'll be doing that later. So the privileged exec command to set includes the commands available in UserExec mode. So many additional commands and the configure command, though, through which access to the configuration modes is gained. Okay, so now step A, click S1 and then the CLI tab and then press enter. So I'm clicking S1. Okay, this is, and then we had been using magnifier, right? Okay, so magnify ko na siya. So this is now the switch. I've clicked on the switch. Okay, and sabi dyan, we need to go to CLI. Okay, so ito yung CLI. Initialization is there. Okay, so what we only need to do is to press enter. All right, so we are in the UserExec mode now of our switch. So let me just open that instruction along with this one. Okay, next step. Enter the privileged exec mode by entering the enable command. So someone in the waiting room. Okay, so notice that the prompt would change. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so on our switch, we type in enable, okay, and then press enter. Okay, so from the user exec mode, where we have the greater than symbol on our command prompt, that this time it was changed to a number sign or the hashtag symbol. So yun yung na-notice natin. Wala namang question so far. So, okay, next. Examine the current switch configuration. So let's enter the show space running dash config command. Okay, so let's type in show space running config. All right, so buong command. So press enter. Okay, so this was the command we just typed in. So it's displaying now the following information. Current configuration, yung version niya, no services stamps, no, ibig sabihin wala pang nakaset on any of the services, timestamps, password encryption, wala. The host name currently is switch, right? So hindi pa natin binabago, that's the default name. Okay, moving down, spanning tree mode. So actually, these are just basic information na wala pang settings, okay? The same for the interfaces. So we'll see may mga interface fast Ethernet 0/1, 0/2. Okay? Our shortcut key to go to the next line, kasi we see on the last line there is the word more. Ibig sabihin, there are still other outputs yet displayed on our screen. So if we press enter, that would just display one line at a time on sa enter natin. But if we want to see the next set of output, we just press the space bar. So I'll press the space bar and this continues displaying all fast Ethernet connectors. So yung 2960 kasi, madami siyang fast Ethernet connectors, di ba? We have seen that when we connected PC number 1. Okay, so let me just press the space bar again. Okay, and ito na actually yung dulo. So when all the interfaces are displayed, actually, it just lists down all the interfaces, pero wala namang information about each of the interfaces. Ganun din sa VLAN ng switch natin. There is no IP address, it is shut down. There is no line VTY login password. Okay? Wala ring line console password. Okay? And that is the typical setting of a fresh new switch. Wala pang configuration. But you see the interfaces, the number of interfaces. Okay? So let's go to our manual. Okay, so manual natin. Okay. And proceed to answer the following questions. So on page 2, question is, how many fast Ethernet interfaces does the switch have? So ilan ba ang fast Ethernet? Okay, so starting from 1, these are our fast Ethernet. Okay, so ilan? So 1 hanggang 24. Okay, so we have 24 fast Ethernet interfaces. What's available next are the gigabit Ethernet interfaces. So we have 2. Okay, so let's proceed to answer that. Okay, so on that question, saan na tayo? Okay, so let's answer here. Again, what we'll do is to type in our answer. There are 24 fast Ethernet interfaces. And how many gigabit interfaces do we have? So there are 2. So you can answer it in complete sentence, bold, and then color nyo po ulit siya ng blue. Okay, so I'll just be doing this now, pero pwedeng yung susunod ay you do it on your own na. Ha? So, lahat po ulit blue for activity number 2. Okay? Next question. What is the range of values for the VTY lines? And which command will display the current contents of the non-volatile random access memory or the startup config yun? Diba? When we discuss the configurations, there are 2 configurations, startup and running config. Okay, so balikan natin yan mamaya. So how many VTY lines are there? Anong range ng VTY lines? So let's go to the configuration. Range niya is actually dalawa. But if you get a total, 0 hanggang 15. Diba? So the range of the VTY line, okay, so that's a total of 16 VTY lines. So 0 to 15. So that is the range that is being asked. Okay, so again, which command will display the current contents of the non-volatile? So anong command naman kaya ang gagamitin natin to do that? So the command is actually from our lesson module number 2, that show space startup config. Okay, so this is the command that has to be entered. So let us try it on our configuration of the switch. Okay, so let's try show startup config. Okay, so show startup config, enter. So what is the output? Okay, ba yung next na question? So the output is startup config is not present. So let's go to our manual again. Ito siya. Okay. So it says there, type it and press enter. Why does the switch respond with startup config is not present? Bakit kaya? Why do you think? But wala pa siyang laman. So it's because we have not saved anything on our startup config yet. At actually, wala pa tayong ginagawa sa running configuration natin. Okay? Okay, so answer natin is because we have not saved any configuration to the switch yet. All right, so you can have it reworded on your own. So basta it's because we didn't perform any changes in the configuration yet. Wala pa naman tayong ina-adjust, diba? In terms of the host name, in terms of the password, wala pa. Okay, but we have seen the default configuration of a new switch. Okay, so let's proceed to part 2 now. So let's assign a name to the switch. Okay, so it's on the manual naman kung what command you should enter. Okay, so we may be required to move between various configuration modes. Notice how the prompt changes as we navigate through the switch, so, such as this one. Okay, to change the host name, we need to be in the global configuration mode. Okay, so currently we are in the privilege exec mode, so we need to type in configure terminal. So let's type in configure terminal. Okay, so let's type configure terminal or our shortcut configure. Yan. So now the prompt has changed to global configuration. sabi doon, from the instruction, let us assign a host name. So the command to assign a host name is host name, and then your elected name of your switch. So S1 daw po yung ilagay natin. So let's put in S1 as the host name and then press enter. So see how the command prompt has changed. Previously, it was switch. This time, nabago na siya into S1. Okay, so that's step number 1 on part 2. So we move to step number 2. Okay, so step number 2 is securing an access to the console line. Okay, this is what we need to do. From your global configuration mode, we will type in line console 0 to get to the line configuration mode. So you'll notice magbabago yung ating command prompt. Then we will type in password as the keyword, and our elected password is let me in. Okay, and then we will follow it with login and an exit. Okay, so let's do that in our switch configuration. So from here, we will go to line console 0. Okay, so on the line configuration mode, and we set a password. So password, ang password na gagamitin natin is let me in. Okay, so that is what in the manual, so we'll just follow that. But actually, you can change it to any other password. Okay, so and then followed by the login. So this is a partner command that you should include when assigning a login to your line console, okay, or a password to your line console. So partner sila. If you have a password, there should be a login. Okay, and then we can exit and go back to global configuration mode. So if you want to go back to the privilege exec mode, we type in exit again. Okay, so yan. So there is no confirmation, right, na nagsabi na line console password set. Okay, so we can check that on our configuration later. Okay, so next, we're done with step 2. Okay, so let's go to, okay, there is a question, okay, before we proceed to step 2. Why do you think the login command is required? Bakit kaya, sinabi ko na rin yung sagot kanina, di ba? So why is the login required? Okay, so it's because this command, okay, is in tandem. Ibig sabihin, for that command to work, it requires both the password and the login command. Okay, so just type your answer here. Okay, ayun na po yung maglagay dyan, and then bold, and then color it blue. All right, so let's go to step number 3 now. Okay, so let's verify that the console access is now secured. So try na natin because we didn't receive any confirmation, right, na sinabi line console password created. Okay, so what we will do is we exit from the privilege exec mode to the user exec mode. So from here, if we type exit, we should go back to the user access mode and we will be asked of a password. Okay, so sige. So let's do that. Okay, here. Okay, so enter lang natin. So I'm in the privilege exec mode. I'll type in exit, enter, and look what happens. It's like I'm initializing the switch, and when I press enter, I'll be asked of a password. Okay, so what was the password we typed in a while ago? It is let me in. I will be typing it now, but you will notice na unlike typing password in any applications we are used to, di ba may asterisk symbol or any special character? So here, you don't see any symbol at all. Okay, so ita-type ko lang. Sorry, nag-expire. So let me type that one. Let me in. Okay, so you don't see any movement in the cursor, right? So ganun po talaga with our Cisco iOS. So if you think you're done with typing the password, you just need to press enter. So if it's successfully done, papasok ka na on your user exec mode. Okay, so let's try again. So exit ko lang. So let's try this time typing in a wrong password. For example, I type in Cisco. I type Cisco and press enter. So it would again give you the password prompt. Okay, so until I get the correct let me in password. So press let me in, and then now I'm back to the user exec mode. Okay, so do we have a question from there? Okay, so wala naman. So from steps 3, we were able to verify na nag-apply na yung line console password natin. Okay, next, step number 4. So we will set the enable password to Cisco. Okay, so from the user exec mode going to the privilege exec mode, we will be assigning another password. Okay, so gagamitin natin ay Cisco with a 1 and a $sign and a 0 instead of an O. Okay, so let's proceed to the next step of our manual. Okay, so again, the command going to the global configuration mode, the command is enable space password and then the password we want to elect. Okay, so let's go to our Cisco. Okay, we are again in the user exec mode. So I'll type enable. Okay, so every time we're doing it, if we practice, diba, every lab activity, you'll get used to this command. Memorize nyo na siya sa katagalan. So configure terminal or simply conf-ter as long as the characters are unique. Okay, we are in the global configuration mode now. We can type in enable, diba? Password as the keywords, and then the argument is sabi Cisco with a 1, with a $sign, with a C and a 0. Okay, so wag natin kalimutan. So this would be the password we are creating. Small c 1, $sign, small c 0. Okay, press enter and then let's exit. Okay. Next, so we're done with that step. Okay, nagawa na natin to. That's step 4, and we were not asked of any questions. So let's go to step number 5 now. Okay, verify that privilege mode access is secure. So we need to type in exit again, and then press enter. So we must be asked of the password this time. So this time nasa privilege exec mode yung password na ginawa natin, which is C1 $CO. Okay, so at step letter C, okay, so we will be encountering 2 passwords. The first password is the one we set on our console a while ago, yung let me in. And then the second password naman po would be the Cisco. Okay, so let's go to our command line and type in exit. Okay. Yeah, so we have initialized again our access to the switch. If I press enter, so we'll be asked of the password. So the first password again is let me in. So I press enter. I'm now on the user exec mode. Okay, now if I type in enable to go to the privilege exec mode, I'm again asked for a password. So ito naman yung enable password natin. Okay, so if I type in let me in, so that's an incorrect password. So that actually is C1 $sign C0. Okay, so and I press enter. Yung nakapasok na tayo. So two layers of security before the switch can be accessed. Okay, so dalawang password na yung na-set natin. So let's go back to our handout manual. Okay, so we're done with entering the privilege exec mode by typing in the second password. Okay, now let's verify step 5F. Verify your configuration by examining the contents of the running config file. Okay, so we'll have a comparison now because without the configurations we just did, we've shown the running config a while ago. So this time, let's see how it has changed. Okay, so let's show running config. Ina lang natin. Show run lang actually would work. All right, so yun, show running config. So let's take a look how it's different from the previous show run. Okay, so here, wala naman tayong changes. But here, the host name is now S1. We have enabled the password. Okay, so if I press the space bar, we're on to the next. So dito, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. So here, what changed is the line console zero password. So we now have the password. Let me in here. Okay, so we've had 3 changes in the configuration, and we see it on the running config. We have a let me in password in the line console. Scroll up ko lang. We also have the enable password and the host name. So na-apply na siya on our Cisco switch. Alright, so let's go to the next step on our manual. So that's step 6 now. Okay. So may note pala tayo on step 5. Notice that the console and enable passwords are both in plain text, right? We can easily read it from there. So if someone, like for example, a network engineer is working on the configuration of the switch, tapos nalingat lang siya konti. So this may be a security risk pa rin kasi the passwords are readable in plain text. Okay, so let's go to step 6 this time. Okay, so sa step 6 po, we will configure an encrypted password to secure access to the privilege mode. Remember kanina, meron tayong enable password Cisco. So what we will be doing is we replace it with a newer encrypted password, this time using the command secret. So instead of password secret. So we go to the global configuration mode, pupunta tayo dyan, and then we type in enable space secret, and then the password we will elect is it's a secret. Okay, so yun yung lalagay natin. Okay, so let's go to global configuration mode. So configure terminal. Here we will enable a password now. So enable, this time secret, hindi na password. And it's a secret. Okay, so let me check kung baka marong spelling tayo. Enable space secret space it's a secret. So we are actually trying to replace yung Cisco natin na password with it's a secret. Okay, press enter and then exit. Okay, so para bumalik tayo sa privilege exec mode. Okay, so let's check on the instruction. So the enable secret password overrides, okay, the enable password. So if both are configured on the switch, you must enter the enable secret password to enter the privilege exec mode. Okay, so pinalitan niya yung Cisco with a 1, a $sign, and an O instead of the usual letters of the word Cisco. Okay, so step 7. Let's verify that the enable secret password is added to the configuration file. Okay, so paano natin siya mabe-verify? So we show running config again. So the shortest way we can run is show the running config is show run. Okay, so let's try show run and look at answers for these questions. What is displayed for the enable secret password? Why is the enable secret password displayed differently from what we configure? So again, so let's show run. Okay, so let's show running config, typing show run. Okay, so looking at the configuration, yun pa rin yung host name, but this time we have a secret password and it's in this format. It's not readable, di ba? Kasi secret password sets it as encrypted password. Okay, so pero nandiyan pa rin naman si enable password. But actually, this has already been replaced, okay, when we access it. Okay, press pa natin. So here, nothing has changed. Ganun pa rin naman siya. Okay, so let's try to answer the questions now. Okay, what is displayed for the enable secret password? So we can just copy that. Okay, ito yung naka-display. So, yan. Copy natin yan. Sorry. Okay, so let's copy. Okay, and then go to our manual. Okay, type it here, paste it here. All right, so bold nyo lang and blue. Okay, that is what is displayed. Okay, so question, why is the enable secret displayed differently from what we configured? Kasi, sabi natin kanina, di ba? Secret password encrypts the password. Okay, secret na lang. Secret command. Okay, so this is our answer. It's because the secret command encrypts the password. Okay, so encrypted po siya. Okay, gawin nyo na lang po siyang blue. Clear? Clear, class? Okay. Next, step number 8. So let's encrypt the enable and the console password. So if you notice, yung login console password natin is still readable, yung let me in, diba? So there is a service, okay, which can enable all passwords which are displayed in plain text to an encrypted one, okay? So i-encrypt natin lahat ng password, okay? The service we'll be using for that is service space password dash encryption, okay? So that's the command to apply the service, okay? So let's scroll to the next part of the page, okay? Exit, and then we will be trying again our show run, okay? So again, the command is service space password dash encryption in the global configuration mode. So let's go to the global configuration mode. Okay, so let's configure. Okay, and we type in service space password space encryption. Sorry, encryption. Right, again, service space password dash encryption, and then press enter. Exit. Okay, so let's try to do the running config again. So let's see what changes does that service did to our configuration. So enter. So from the beginning of the configuration, you'll now see yung service password encryption is already reflected. Okay, so just to compare, so let's just see yung previous natin na configuration. So let's check on the previous configuration. Dito pa naman siya. Ayan. So we have no service password encryption before, but after typing in that service, this is we have service password encryption this time. Okay, so it's already there. Now, what else do we notice? Ano pa yung changes niya? Okay, so aside from this one, this is already also encrypted. So let's scroll down on the routing configuration. You would also notice the let me in password is now changed to an encrypted one. Okay, so that leaves it yung password na lang to the one authorized, di ba? If it's the network administrator or the network engineer, sila na lang talaga yung nakakaalam ng password na ginamit. So let's go to is there a question on step 8? May question ba? Let's just scroll. Nag-show run tayo. Ayan, so there is a question there. So if you configure any more passwords on the switch, will they be displayed in the configuration file as plain text or unencrypted form? So what do you think is the answer? So halimbawa, magdagdag pa tayo ng password on any other parts. Question niya is, will it be displayed in the configuration as plain text or in encrypted form? Again, all succeeding passwords will now be displayed in the config as encrypted. Okay, so ayan. So we're done with part 2 actually. Okay, so let's now proceed to part 3. Okay, let's configure our MOTD. Okay, yung message of the day natin. So let's configure a message of the day. Okay, so this is a feature in our Cisco iOS which allows us to put in message so that anyone logging onto the switch sees it. Okay, so yung message of the day natin serves as a warning, di ba? Kumbaga sa physical room or physical server room, we just say unauthorized persons are not allowed. So which means if you see someone unauthorized inside that room, there is an intention, diba, na to go inside. So we will be issuing a message of the day banner on our switch. So We enclose the banner text in quotations or use a delimiter different from any character appearing in the MOTD screen. So yung delimiter, for these commands, which we will be trying out, we'll be using the double quotations. But actually, any other character can be used. Wag lang yung characters within your message, which is, for example, it's an exclamation point, diba? Wag po yun, okay? So to add a banner on our switch, we type in banner space MOTD space your message, okay? And then press exit. So we must be in the global configuration mode to do this. Okay, so let's go to our configuration now. So configure, okay, to go to the global configuration, adding a banner, it should be banner space MOTD space. So we can change the text on the manual. Pwede natin sabihin unauthorized warning. Unauthorized users are not allowed. Ganun lang. Okay, so we just change it to another text. Dun sa manual kasi natin, it says it is, dito yan sa taas. This is a secure system, authorized access only. Okay, so we just change the text lang naman. But still, we're creating a banner MOT. So press enter ko na po. Okay, so once we press the enter button, okay, so na-apply na yan. So we just type in exit, okay, to go back to the previous system. Okay, so nagawa na natin yung banner. So now, okay, so let's go to the questions. Okay, so my questions dyan. Okay, so enter exit repeatedly until back to the user exit mode. So hindi natin ginawa. So we'll do that later. When will this banner be displayed? And why do you think every switch should have an MOTD banner? Okay, so we just type in exit to go back to privilege exec mode. So we go back to the user exec mode again. Okay, so nasa user exec mode, I press enter. And here is the banner which we had created. Okay, nakalagay dyan. Warning, unauthorized users are not allowed. Okay, so question is, and when is the banner displayed? So when is the banner displayed? So let's type our answer here. When will this banner be displayed? So before entering the line console password. Okay, so nandun siya, naka-appear siya doon. Okay, question. Why do you think every switch should have an MOTD banner? Sa tingin niyo, I've already explained the reason why we want an MOTD banner. So this is left for you to answer. Okay, type your answer here. Okay, so kayo na po yung maglagay dyan, bold, and then color your answer with blue. Okay, so I can easily see your answer. Okay, so we're done with part 3. Let's go now to part 4. Okay, so part 4 tayo. Okay. Save and verify configuration files to NVRAM. So which means we'll have those configurations for now lang muna. So what we will do is save na natin siya sa startup config natin. So that is what is saved on the NVRAM. So recalling a while ago, di ba wala pa siyang laman? So when we show startup config a while ago, before we did the configurations, startup config is not present. Okay, so this time we'll be saving it now. So the command is to copy the running config to the startup config. So this is what we'll be typing in: copy running config space startup config. Okay, so we'll go to, syempre magpa-password muna tayo. So what again is our password for the line console? It's let me in. Okay, and when we are in the user exec mode and press enable for the privilege exec mode, ano yung password natin dito, class? It's a secret. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so pagdating natin dyan, that's when we do the copy. Okay, so copy is running config. So let's type it full. Sorry. space startup config. Okay, again, copy space running config space startup dash config. Okay, and then press enter. Okay, so tanong niya is the destination file startup config, yung that the text enclosed within the square brackets is the default value. So if you press enter, ma-apply siya doon. So we press enter because we want to save it in the startup config. So merong building configuration status, and then finally the last line says it's okay. So which means tapos na yung ating saving on the startup config. Okay? So are all the change, dito na ba tayo? Not yet. Here. So next question is, what is the shortest abbreviated version of the copy running dash config space startup dash config command? Okay? Kanina, we did it all complete. Diba? Kinumpleto natin. Para masanay muna tayo doon. But actually, as long as the characters are unique, pwede yon. And as a matter of fact, the shortest po na pwede natin gawin dyan is just COP, okay, copy, kasi may CO. Yung CO kasi is still not unique. And then you can have R and then S. Copy R, S. So, ayaw niya na. So, which means sa S, okay, copy, cop, R, S. It should be at least 2 characters for S. Kasi probably may iba pang S. SCP saka startup config. So, kaya we need to ST. So, sorry. So, cop RST is the shortest. So, when we press, so we are copying, press enter lang po, and it's okay. So, let's change our answer here. It's actually copy RST. Yan. So, this is the shortest command we can do. Okay. So, next, examine the startup configuration. So, mag-show startup tayo. Okay. So, and then, answer the question, are all the changes that were entered recorded in the file? Okay, so let's see. So mag-show startup tayo. So sa show, okay, again, let's try to type in kung tama yung S lang. So hindi pwedeng S lang kasi there are several commands na starting with letter S. But with ST, actually dalawa, diba? So storm control saka startup config. So we'll just use showsta. Okay, so showsta worked. So it's now displaying us the configuration. Where was my Ito yon. This is our last command. Showsta. Okay, show startup config. Okay, so if we browse through the configuration, hosting nandiyan pa. What was the last items we did? Di ba naglagay tayo ng MOTD banner and huli natin nilagay. Yan. So, MOTD banner has been applied. Okay. So, what else? Yung password is still there. What else? Yun lang. So, yun lang yung latest na nilagay natin, di ba? So, and it's already saved on the startup config. So, it's not just on the running config, but this time it's already saved. So, may laman na yung startup config natin, and what we had configured on the switch is actually saved here, right? So yun po yung sa switch number 1. Okay? Are all the changes that were entered recorded in the file? Yes. Okay, so sagutin lang po yung yes, and then we go to the last part, which is configure S2. Okay? So here, we have completed the configuration on switch 1. So we'll now configure switch 2. Okay. So this one actually, since we will just be repeating the configurations, so I'll be leaving this up to you now. Just take note of the following changes. Sa device name, use S2. For the line console password, use Cisco instead of let me in. So babaguhin niyo siya ha. For the enable password, use still Cisco, same lang, but the enable secret password should be class. So you need to change it, all right? And then configure appropriate message to those logging in. So ito yung MOTD banner. So configure another banner for switch 2. Encrypt all using the service password encryption, just like what we did in switch 1. Ensure that all the configuration are correct, and then save the configuration file to avoid loss if the switch is powered down. So you have to save it on the startup config. Okay, so I'll leave it to you, part 5, to configure switch number 2. All right. Now, part 6 po, copy the configurations of the 2 switches and we will paste below. So I'll do for S1 already because we're done with S1. So what we will do is just to copy yung configuration. So be it running or startup config, same lang naman, di ba? Because we saved them. Okay, so let me copy that one. For switch 1, ito po yung ika-copy natin. So let me copy that. Okay, here, starting from here.
Let's copy this up to the end. Okay, yeah, up to here. Okay, so let me copy ko ha, and then I'll put it on our manual.
And then paste lang. Pwede nyo siyang paste, keep source formatting na lang po. Okay, para hindi magulo yung spacing. Alright, so this is our configuration. So of course, that would occupy some length on your document. So this is switch 1, S1 pala. S1 configuration. Lagyan na lang po ng label, ha? So, S1 configuration, again.
Color it blue, so I would know this is part of your answer.
Okay, so here is our manual now. Okay, so I'll scroll down. From part 6, we copied the configuration of the first switch. First switch pa lang meron tayo. So, from the first line up to the last line. Okay, so up to the last line. Okay, so you'll do for switch 2 also. So switch 2 configuration. After doing part 6, okay, configuring S2, you paste it here. Okay, and then what do we do next? Syempre, save our document, appending the file name with your surname. Okay, save as nyo lang to or save no. And then submit in our assignment in OpenLMS. Okay? All right, so we're done with our laboratory activity, configure initial switch settings.